Okay, so now that we are done with chapter 5, we're taking a look at chapter 6 right here, reports. Okay. So in chapter 6, this is where I was talking about most of the things that we learned in every single chapter gives you a specific task or a specific report that's tailoring a specific position in a company. So in this case, right, there are two different types of reports that exist in QuickBooks, right? You have accounting kind of reports, and then you have business management reports. Now, what's the difference between the two? Well, the difference between the two is that each report is going to, so again, accounting reports usually typically deal with things that are just made with just accounts, right? With a chart of accounts. Anything that you could do, so again, that would be more for the accountant, the general accountant's position to be able to run those reports, such as the balance sheet, the statement of cash flows, the trial balance. That is going to be using the accounts itself and creating a report from it. Now, a business management report, it's going to be things that are tailored, such as sales, right? Customers, things that deal with managing the business. Okay. Now, of course, we'll talk about more about that in a second, but let's talk about how you can find transactions. Okay, so in this case, here are a few techniques that you can do in QuickBooks that allow you to search things quicker. So again, we have this little search button right here, right? And I can type in anything in here and it's going to search my entire QuickBooks for that transaction. So if I go ahead and click Maria Cruz, right? In this case, I typed in Maria. It's going to show me this. That Maria, it says right here that you don't have the results, but then you want to try again. Okay. And there you go. So again, when I click that update, it pulled out everything that had to do with Maria Cruz, or in this case, I just typed in Cruz, right? So there you go. All the transactions, you can locate them simply by typing in the person. Maybe you didn't know, you forgot what the transaction is or who this person was. You just remember Cruz. Okay? That's one way that you can locate a particular transaction. But of course, if you know the actual person, you could simply do that by locating the transaction by actually, if you know the person. So if I want Maria Cruz, I could just simply click Maria and then click all right here, all. And here's all the transactions that I've created with Miss Maria, right? And it's put in here that we received payments, we billed her, etc., etc. Okay. Now let's see what else is there that I can show you. So that's using the search window there, all right? Other ways that you could also locate a transaction is by using the find button, or if you look in this example here, if let's say, oh, I just received a payment from somebody, right? At the top of the window, you have find, and basically you can go back to see what happened, what was the last transaction that happened. You can keep going back as far as you want to locate the last transaction that you actually had in here. Now, of course, that's also going to be one of the ways to do it, but that's going to take you forever, because at this point, if you know you received a payment, right, that's going to take you forever to go locate what you're looking for. A better way to be able to do that, once again, if you did receive a payment but you just can't remember who, but you know the exact amount, you can simply just go to the customer center, right? Click on transactions and then click on receive payments, right? And if you double click on it, it will give you the list of all the received payments that you've received throughout this QuickBooks workbook. So in this case, there's a lot more quicker ways that you can find a particular transaction. They're just showing you what you can and can't do. Okay. All right. So that's another way that you could locate a transaction if you cannot find it. Now, we talked very briefly on what a quick report is. Now, I've mentioned before, right? You can do quick reports almost on anything and anybody, okay? You could do a quick report on items. You could do it on your chart of accounts. You could do it on people, okay? Anything that has a register, okay? So what do you mean I can do that? Well, let's take a look at an example, right? I can run a quick report on specific things. So if I go to my chart of accounts, right, and I've went over this really briefly, but if I go to my chart of accounts, okay, let's go with the home page first and then chart of accounts. If I go to my chart of accounts, and I click the wrong one. If I go to my chart of accounts, right, again, I also told you this, that if you double click on anything that has an account balance on it or a register, it's going to take you straight to the register. But let's say I want to run a quick report for my checking account. I can simply click on checking account, right? I can go all the way down to the bottom where it says reports, and I can produce a quick report just like that. So it doesn't have to be necessary a income or expense account. Any account you can create a quick report for. All right. It's just the ones with registers, right? You can't double click and it will create a quick report. Only expenses and income, right? They don't have registers. They only have quick reports. So in this case, I can run a quick report right here on my checking account. Right? A quick report's exactly what it says, right? A quick report, right? Something that you can produce in an instant manner, and it gives you an overview of what just happened. And you can toggle the time frame to over here. Okay, so you could run a quick report like that. You can even run it on a customer. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and click on Mr. Bob Mason. Okay, Bob Mason. And if I go down here, right, I have this run report button. Okay, and then it says view as a report. Yes. So I click run report. Okay, and there you go. It does a quick overview on Mr. Bob Mason's transactions right here, and that's a quick report for a customer. Okay, and of course you could also do that for your items as well, right? If we go to my items and services, right? I'm able to do the same thing and run a quick report on this as well, right? Reports, quick report. So I can say, well, how many people did I charge? Right? Or how many items did I sell, that particular item? So again, quick reports are just, again, exactly what it says, quick report. Getting information that you need to know about a particular person, product, account, whatever it is, you can do it. Okay? Any questions there?
No.
Okay. Now, the huge difference between a quick report and an actual report is basically tailored on what kind of overall answer you're trying to get. So in this case, this was on an individual base, right? I just want to do a quick report on my checking account. It's individual. I want to do a quick report on Bob Mason. It's individual. But the difference between a quick report and an actual report is that you're getting an overall amount. So in this case, right, instead of just my checking account, I can do a report on all of my accounts. Okay? Instead of just Bob Mason, I could do it on all my customers. Okay? So that's the difference between a quick report and a regular report. Right? Then there's also this cool feature called Quick Zoom. All right, I'll show you that feature in a few minutes, okay, on what that can do. But it's a really cool, awesome feature. But what I really want to talk about really is going to be what kind of report you can create under QuickBooks. So again, I mentioned to you the difference between an accounting report and a business management report. There's only two types, okay? One is purely strictly using the accounts, and the other one is basically general information, whether it's a customer, a person, an item, or a particular thing then that's going to be a business management. Now, who uses these types of reports? That's also very important too, because again, an accountant will use the profit and loss report to identify whether the company is doing well or not. All right? Whereas someone who's a business management, maybe they need to do a report on their customers, right? They can see, well, how much money do customers owe me, right? And how do I get them? What kind of other incentive can I get them to pay in time? Or, for example, you can use your sales. What item do you sell more of? How can you get people to purchase your other items, right? And bring up their sales, right? By doing promotional sales, right? Promotional discounts, store-wide sales. So that's what the two different types of accounts or type of reports you can use for the different positions that you're in the company for, right? So first things I'm also going to talk about is what's the difference between cash and accrual reports, okay? So now that we talked about the two different ones here, right? What's the difference of looking at a cash report versus an accrual report? Okay, if you guys remember back in chapter 1, a cash basis type of business is where they are strictly only looking at cash and cash only. So when they receive cash, they instantly report it. When they spend cash, right, they instantly report it, right? But the concept here is that they have to have the money in order to report it. But where accrual does is it doesn't matter whether you received cash or not, all right? You would record a sale if it happened, even if that person owes you money, okay? You would record a expense even if you haven't paid them yet. You would record income even though you haven't been paid for the service, okay? So that's the accrual type of accounting. Now, the best thing about doing cash versus accrual is literally seeing how much actual cash is actually coming into your business, right? Because when we're looking at sales based on our credit sales or accrual basis, we can see that, of course, we're going to earn a lot more money. But in reality, when we take a look at how much cash we're actually receiving versus the ones that we're just reporting because, they still owe us money, then we can actually see how much cash is actually coming into the business, right? Because if we sold a particular item and we actually got cash for it, then we can determine, well, this is our real profit, okay? So again, cash versus accrual. Now, how do I toggle that? This is pretty straightforward, okay? You're going to go to your edit preferences and you're going to click on reports. Okay, so RRR, reminders, reports. Right here, you're going to go to company, and here gives you the option. Do you want to run accrual reports or cash reports? Now, once again, by default, it's the best way to use and maximize QuickBooks, functions and windows and things like that. You should more likely be on an accrual basis type of business. But that doesn't mean you can't run your business as a cash basis, all right? But in this case, this is standardized for reports, all right? Because by default, QuickBooks is already an accrual type of accounting system, right? It's already acknowledging that you're using QuickBooks as an accrual. You're not using it for strictly cash, because if you are using it for strictly cash, then you're only going to use maybe 5 functions in QuickBooks. You're not going to be able to use that many, right? But that's the thing here. But this is about talking about reports. Now, in this case, this is where I can toggle between back and forth, whether I want to look at an accrual type of my account now, and then looking at my accounts if it was cash basis, all right? And of course, yeah, that's going to be a struggle because you have to go to edit preferences, and then you're going to have to create your reports that way, whether you want it cash or accrual. But I'm going to show you something real cool and real quick, how you're able to toggle it without having going to edit preferences. Okay, So let's go ahead and run our first report here. So our very first accounting report usually is going to be anything that's dealing with your typical accounts. Now again, this is primarily for the regular general accountant. So if you apply for a job as a regular accountant, these are the standard reports that you need to know and how to create for the sake of the company, right? Because you are the accountant. You are the one that's managing the accounts. So that's going to be the financial statements, okay, trial balances, and any general ledger accounts. Those are going to be typically what kind of reports you would run, okay? Now in this case, right, in QuickBooks, there are actually only 3 financial statements, okay? In accounting, we learned that there are 4. So in QuickBooks, there's the profit and loss, right? It's not called income statement. In QuickBooks, it's called profit and loss, okay? And of course, we have the balance sheet, okay, that tests the accounting equation, right? Your assets equals liabilities plus your equity. And of course, the last one here is the third one is going to be your statement of cash flows. Now, of course, in accounting, we learned that there's 4. In QuickBooks, what it does is it combines 2 of the statements into one. So the statement of equity is going to follow in the same as going to be found or located in your balance sheet statement, okay? So again, your balance sheet is combining both statement of equity and the balance sheet itself, okay? Because there, right, you have equity. You're going to get the report right there. You can double click on equity, your equity count, and you can run a report, a quick report on equity. And you're going to see everything that's in there. Okay? So once you've done that, right, those are the 3 standard reports that you can create. So let's go ahead and dive into the first one, which is going to be your standard profit and loss. Okay? Now I'm going to show you something really cool about reports. So of course, what we've been doing so far and lately is that we've been running our reports by going up to the reports menu bar, right? And then we look at here, we tailor which one we want. So in this case, right, a profit and loss is going to be considered under an accounting and financing type, or company. It's going to be under company. It's going to be under company, okay? Company and financials, right? Your profit and loss. Now, in this case, you're not required to use the menu bar. In this case, I'm going to show you what's called the report center. So if I go up here at the very top, you have the report center. And by default, you should have it available on your icon bar, your report center. So here, let me toggle through here. We have vendors, we have bank feeds, we have reminders.
Go up.
I missed it, right? Yeah, there you go, reports. So if I click on report center, this is what will pop up, okay? This one I best recommend you to use because this one gives you a way better outlook than it is to just use the reports menu bar, okay? And I'm going to show you how you're able to view it. So right now, it is currently on grid view. If I want to, I can have it called carousel, which allows me to basically take a look at every report, right? And I get to choose which one works best for me. But of course, as you can see, right, looking at how it moves across from each report is because right now my computer is at max capacity of random access memory. So if you have a really good high processing type of computer, this should be moving a lot smoother than my computer screen because I'm running QuickBooks, I'm also running Google Classroom, and I'm also streaming my screen and recording it. So my capacity is at its maximum. So as you can see it's kind of crusty, moving really badly, right? That's carousel view, where if you don't know what report you're actually looking for, you can do it like that. Again, this is for like if you have an iPad, this would look really cool if you could just slide through each report, right? Or you could view it as a list. Now, if you view it as a list, you don't really get much details except for just the actual title itself. Now, that's again, this is for more avid users or for people who just know exactly what kind of report they want to use. They don't really necessarily need to see an overview. All right. And again, you can choose as a favorite. You can go through each list. And of course, each category or topic you have here has a set of their own reports. But the best report or the best view of the reports that I prefer is going to be grid view. Okay? Grid view allows you to not only get a little overview or sample file of what the report looks like, it allows you to toggle them as well in every single category. So again, the very first one was company and financials, which right here, boom, oh, that's company and financials. Boom, the very first one is your profit and loss. And here it says at the top, it's standard. Here it says details, right? Again, there's a bunch of profit and loss reports that you can do in this. Profit and loss based on unclassified items, right? Based on class, based on jobs, etc., etc. Profit and loss, okay? So again, pretty straightforward, pretty standard, and etc., etc. Right? So if I want to do a standardized profit and loss, right, I can go ahead and click this and I can click run. Now notice this, it gave me a time frame saying this is for today. Now, again, you can choose to change it here, right, to this month, or I'm going to go ahead and make a customized one that says maybe I want to run my report as of January, not 2021, but maybe January 1st of 2021 all the way out to, let's say, March. Let's do quarter statements, March 31st. And then I can go ahead and click run. If you don't know what a profit and loss does, is you can click this info and it will pretty much give you a synopsis of what each report does, right? In this case, profit and loss is straightforward, right? It pretty much counters against all of your revenues and counter them against all the expenses to determine whether you sold enough products to cover all of your expenses and whether you made a profit or a loss for the company, right? So it will give you that option there. And I'm going to go ahead and click run. So I customized my report to show only the statements between January all the way to March. Okay. All right. And there's different options you could choose too. You don't technically have to make a customized one. You can say this year, this month, this, etc., etc. So in this case, I could even go as far as this year. Or this fiscal year. So let me try that. This fiscal year. All right. And oftentimes when you do that, you should click that refresh button. So this is as of, see what it says right here, January through December of 2021. So it's showing me this year's content. And there it all is. Okay. So that is creating a report for you. Okay. Again, and then again, here it gives you even the option to quickly switch between a cash basis versus an accrual basis. So in this case, right, this is my profit that I made under an accrual type of accounting. So I made a total of $2,799. Now let's do it in terms of cash basis. How much money did I actually receive from my sales and how much money did I actually spend for my expenses? Now take a look at here. I am at negative $317. I paid for too many expenses, and the actual money I received from actual sales with cash is less. I have a loss for $317. So that's what I mean by actually taking a look at reports, especially like major corporations that has a bunch of credit sales, right? You won't believe just because their net worth says that they're this much, are they actually truly worth it when half the people in the United States are owing them money on a credit? So that's what I mean by taking a look at difference between cash versus an accrual basis. In this case, it's not doing so good under a cash basis, but it's doing phenomenal under an accrual basis. Okay. And again, we also have the assumption where, if we're under accrual basis, right? Are we making our payments on time for the people that we owe? Is your customers making payments on the things that they owe to us? All right. And there you go. So that's one thing about this too. Now, again, if you are looking at this, right, you do have what's called the quick zoom in feature. As you can see right here, my mouse has turned into a little magnifying glass with the Z in it. That's called the quick zoom feature. And so for here, for example, right, total other income, or let's do total interest income, or actually just looking at profits. If I actually go ahead and click on that number, right, or it's going to give me a zoom in feature that's going to show me, well, this is the detail here. And then I can even go even further and take a look at the exact invoice if I wanted to. So that's called the zoom in feature. Okay, that allows you to take a look at a transaction even further into detail. Okay, so again, when your mouse turns into this magnifying icon with the letter Z in it, that tells you exactly what you need to look at. So in their case, there you go. Okay, so that is all of that. Now, of course, I'm going to show you one more profit and loss, just because, again, the great thing about creating these reports is it is so easy. It's just the click of a button. Okay? Now, actually understanding how to manually create these reports is something that we're going to learn in the accounting class. So, again, I will show you exactly how to create one. But for QuickBooks, since for those who have already taken my accounting class, you don't need to do anything, because all the information that you've been entering into QuickBooks, it will create the report for you in a matter of seconds. Okay? So again, I'm going to click on reports and show you, well, let's do a quick report where profit and loss based on classes. So here, and I'm going to do it for this fiscal year, okay? Here shows me my profit and loss based on the classes, which is my store location, right? And this is what I was talking to you guys about how this can be very useful information for you, right? You can see right here that under an accrual type basis, you could compare which one's doing better. My San Jose location is definitely doing way better than my Walnut Creek location. So maybe this report can spark up ideas for your profit manager to be, well, if since San Jose is doing better, then I should probably invest either one, more money into Walnut Creek so Walnut Creek can do better, or invest more money into my San Jose location, whether I want to expand my San Jose location so then I can increase my profits even better. Again, let's take a look at on a cash basis, right? And click that refresh button. Okay, click on, where is refresh? Okay, click on the refresh button. So as on a cash basis, it shows me that my San Jose location is not doing so good, but my Walnut Creek is doing well. So this is what I mean about using these reports for finding a specific target. Now again, every report that I'm going to be talking about has a reason behind it. So again, we talked about sales management. What can a sales representative do for the information that they're looking up? So a report basically helps you find out or basically answer a question that you have in regards to the business. And that's what reports do. Okay. All right. So that is the profit and loss based on class. And you can compare and contrast the difference between the different locations that you have. Okay. And if you have enough money, maybe you can set up a third location. Okay. So that's the very first one that I talked about, was your profit and loss. So determining whether your company made a actual made money or whether they didn't make any money. Okay. So that is the profit and loss. And then of course your book goes over through profit and losses for other things as well. But in this case, once again, if you can do one, you can do all of them. All right, so that's why I don't spend too much time going over reports for each single chapter, is because, again, reports are going to be subjective based on what position you are in the actual organization. Okay, so again, here, profit and loss by class, which I just showed you. Okay. So again, yes, you could do everything. So again, I can even do a balance sheet if I wanted to, or a statement of cash flows. So here's another profit and loss by job. Trying to locate the balance sheet for you. Okay, here you go, balance sheet. Okay. So again, we talked very briefly about what the balance sheet does, right, in chapter 1. In this case, the balance sheet tests the accounting equation. So I do have the option, if I want to go to the report center, I can do that. Or if I want to go to the reports menu bar, I can do that too. This is considered a company and financials. Okay, so if I go up to the menu bar, right, and click on reports and I click on company and financials, what's going to populate is going to be all the 3 financial statements that you were required as an accountant to do, right? The profit and loss, the balance sheet, and the statement of cash flow. So I can locate it here and be able to find all that information right here, right? And it gives you all the categories in a list. So in this case, right, I'm already on my report center. So I'm just going to go ahead and scroll until I find the balance sheet. Okay. So you go balance, income and expenses. I don't need that. I want balance sheet and new net worth. So again, balance sheet standard. If I go ahead and click this and double click on it, it will run the report for me. And I want it for this fiscal year. And here it is, right? And it tallies up all of my assets and gives me my total assets right here. So total assets is 624442. And then if I look at my total liabilities and equity, it shows me that I have the same exact amount. So in this case, no discrepancy here because our balance sheet should be equal at all times, right? The accounting equation should be equal at all times. Okay. And of course, if you want to look at how much your company is doing well in regards to finances, so running a statement of cash flow, again, is as easy as click of a button. Okay. Now, here's where I'm going to also show you another report that you can do in regards to whether you need accounting information pretty quick. So a good one is going to be your general ledger account or a general ledger report. So again, if you need a quick overview of just all of your accounts, right? I can quickly do that by going up to reports and clicking on accountants and taxes. That's going to give you your general ledger and your trial balance. So if I go do my general ledger report, this is how it looks like. It's going to be in detail, right, of every single account that I have, so checking account, and it gives you the appropriate account balances. So that's what the general ledger report does. And of course, you can use a quick zoom feature to go through each and every single account itself by double clicking on it, and it will pull that exact account and do a report for you based off of that. So for example, if I wanted to do my checking account, right, I can click on the number here for my checking account and it will pretty much give me a overview of it. I can even, so checking. Okay, and it says right here, a quick zoom, found no transactions, that's okay, because we can do a quick report on that, remember? So again, it won't show it to me. That's okay. I already showed you how to use a quick feature. So then here you go. This is the general ledger. And of course, when I was talking about in chapter 12, this is how you're able to produce a trial balance, so then you're able to proceed, if you are a pre-existing company, to go ahead and be able to do your opening balances by creating this right here. So you're going to go to accountant and taxes, and you're going to create your balance sheet. Now in this case, if I am a pre-existing company, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to show me that these are my open balances as currently right now for this case. It says for last month. So in this case, last month is as of August 31st, 2021. Okay, so this is in real time. All right, depending on when you start QuickBooks, yes, you can close each book for every year, and we'll talk about that in chapter 14. But this is what you want to make sure that this always happens, because you definitely want to make sure that your trial balance does reflect your actual accounting information, right, correctly. All right, so that is that right there. Okay. Now, those are the accounting reports that you can do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to briefly show you a few business management reports, and I'm going to show you what you can actually do with these reports. Okay. So again, a business management report could be anything about your people, about the items that you sell, about obviously not accounts, but anything that in particular, maybe that you could help manage the business, right? For example, the very first one we have is a customer phone list. What do I need a customer phone list for? Okay, so basically, let's take a look at that. Let's go ahead and run our customer phone list, right? And that's going to be, let me find my reports real quick, report center. All right, that's going to be under list, okay? And the very first one's going to be your customer phone list, okay? This is good for, again, for promotional reasons, right? Maybe you need to contact your customers for any reason, right? Maybe you need to run this report for, in case you need to contact them to say, hey, you still owe me money, right? Or maybe to give them a marketing call saying, hey, are you interested in this? Okay? There's a lot of reasons why you can use these reports for the reasons of management, right? Looking at your contact, or in this case, this is phone list, right? I can go as far as going for actual customer contact information. So looking at their addresses, looking at their information, right? And again, anything in regards to sales too, I can run sales reports just like that, okay? Anything that has to deal with anybody. So again, it can run inventory reports. Or again, every single chapter is going to have a set of reports that you can do, right? We already took a look at sales reports in chapter 2. We already took a look at expense reports in chapter 4, right? So again, reports are just going to be based on those information. So one I do want to focus here is going to be the customer contact list. Okay, so this is where I'm going to go a little off the book. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and run this report real quick. Okay, I'm going to run my customer contact list. So as you can see, it has customers' information name. It has their bill to place. It has their primary contact number, name, etc., etc. It has a lot of information here. So I'm going to go ahead and jump forward, and I'm going to show you how to actually be able to customize this report, because the great thing about QuickBooks is you can always modify a report to look at the way that you want to make it look. So again, with this idea that we can modify our reports, this is the really cool part here. So if I decide that I'm going to use this customer contact information, I'm going to use this to mail out promotional advertising stuff, right? I'm going to use this as some marketing material. But for all this information, I don't need to have their information in regards to how much money they owe me. I may not even need their phone number because I'm going to be mailing out stuff. So how can I customize this, right? Now, the first customization I already showed you was toggling the date. Now, in this case, right, when you have the top of this window, you have a few options that you can do. And the very first one is called Customize Reports. All right. And when I click on Customize Reports, right, I'm going to kind of toggle it down here so you can kind of see what the report does is at the same time is you have 4 categories that you can change or modify this report for. Okay. First one is how it looks, which is display. Second one is going to be filters, like, again, displaying certain things that you want to display. You can even go as far as changing the headers and footers, right? And you can even change the fonts and stuff, okay? So let's talk about display. So in this case, display, what kind of information do I need to display? Well, let's take a look. Right now, I have customer, all right, that's fine. I don't need their balance total because, again, I'm creating a mailing list. So I wouldn't need their balance total, right? Why would I need a balance total when I'm mailing my individual people's stuff? So here, you definitely want to address them whether they are a Miss or Mr. Okay? You definitely want their first name, and you definitely want their last name. Okay? The middle name, not really. You don't need a phone number to contact them. Again, this is a mailing address list. Okay? You don't need a fax number. And let's see what else. You don't need a primary contact. And you don't need a bill to. Okay? Actually, maybe you do need the bill to because you need the street address, right? In this case, I need the bill to date or the bill to information, right? That's going to include my streets, my city, my state, and my zip code. Again, you can have it all. If you don't want to do bill to, maybe you can say, I want all of these information here because you're going to be mailing them out, right? And of course, you need the county, okay, or country. You don't need the ship dates or anything like that. So that's what I want. And notice this, as I went through all of that, it started to change my information of exactly what I wanted on my report. Okay. Filters. Filters are in case you have a specific type of person that you want to do it. So again, if you have them selected as email, you can have them all of this. I don't really use this part because it doesn't really make sense to me because I can basically filter it through using my display. Headers and footers. So in this case, headers. Take a look. Look at my header. It's in blue. It's in standard Intuit information. I don't like the way that looks. Okay? So basically what I can do here is I want the company name. Yes, I want the title of the form, which right here tells me what it is. I want the date to be there. So the date of this report, again, you can choose to whether you want to have it or not. So as you can see, the company name is the Imagine Photography, right? You can customer contact list. In this case, I can change it here and say this could be promotional mailing addresses, right? And then the date, maybe I don't need the date because I don't need to have it unless I want to say this is for Labor Day, okay? Labor Day weekend or whatever. So maybe you want to say Labor Day promotional list, whatever you want. It doesn't matter. All right, so everything looks like this. This is what it will show you on the off screen. All right, and of course I want to change my fonts because maybe once again, change your reports to look more like it's yours. It's your company. So in this case, I'm going to change, let's see, I can change my labels. I can change my company name. Once again, I'm going to change the font for this. And let's make my company name in, let's see, what kind of, maybe this font right here. Okay, shows you an overview of what it looks like. And I don't want it navy. I want this to be in black. Okay. Okay. Okay, and then it says change all related fonts. Yes. Okay. And then I also, let's say I want the report title, okay, to be maroon because that's what my company colors are. It's black and maroon. So I'm going to click this and I'm going to keep the title the way it is. Okay. Yes. Okay. So then once I've done that and I've completed everything that I want here in regards to customizing my report, I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and it's going to immediately change everything. So, okay, I see what I did here. I said for all. I should have just said no. But in this case, right, it changed my information to report to me that this is my customer, right? I want to address them whether they're a Mr., Mrs., or even a doctor, right? Dr. Tim S. Fang, right? Did you remember him? And then again, first name, last name, mailing address, their street, their city, their state, and their zip code. I just created a customized report. Okay, so I'm gonna see if I could change that one more time. If I can change the header to be black instead of, or in this case, yeah, my company name. I want that to be in black. Let's see if I'm able to do that. And click OK. Does it? No, I don't want to make changes to all of them. Okay, so let's see if it made the change here. All right, so there you go. I have my title in black. And again, I can change the font size on that. Maybe I should have changed the font size for that. So, so it's kind of like out there to kind of see this is my company, right? So I'm going to change it to maybe size 20. Okay, make it that big and click OK. Do I want to? No. Okay, and then click OK, and boom, there you go. Imagine photography in black, size 20, while everything else is in red or maroon, right? I can customize it like that. All right. And you know what's great? Instead of having to re-customize this over and over again, I can save this exact report by clicking Memorize Reports. Okay. So in this case, I already customized the report, so I want to click Memorize. Okay? So what does this Memorize do? So basically, right, the next time I run my report, I can just simply locate it in my Memorize reports and be able to just produce the same exact one if I'd like. Right? In this case, what do I want to title this? Again, it says right here, promotional mailing addresses. Good. Or if you want mailing list, you can have that there too. Okay. And then it's going to say, well, do you want to save it into your Memorized Reports group? Yes, I do. What report? I want this into my customers report. Why? Because it's in regards to marketing, which is going to be dealing with my customers. So then I can go ahead and click OK, right? And if you actually have your sound on, you should have heard a big, huge snapshot, right? Now, how do I locate this exact form? Okay. Well, that's easy. When you open up the Reports Center, at the very top of the window, you have Standard versus Memorized versus Favorites. Okay, so I told you, right? You can if you look right here, you can make a favorite. So then you say, I like this one. This is a common one that I like to use. So instead of having to go through each standard one, whatever position that you are, if you're just focusing on sales and maybe there's a particular sales that you all like commonly like to do, you can put it on your favorites list. Okay. Recent are going to be things that you just recently done, all clear. And of course, your Memorized Reports is going to be here. So again, I memorized it under customers. So let's locate it. It should say promotional mailing addresses, which should be your last one, promotional mailing list. So again, I could double click on it to create that form again. And there it is, exactly how I customize it with the black title, with the black company name and red report title. All right, so that's what you can do here is that you can create multiple reports, and if this is the information that you're tailoring, you can target your reports to find or narrow down each criteria of what your report's about. Like, what question in particular are you actually asking about the company? Okay. Any questions here?
No, no,
Okay.
not for me.
Okay. So I use this one as a better example than the one that's in the book because this one's straightforward and it's pretty clear on what you're doing, right? You're creating a mailing address list for your customers so you can send promotional marketing materials or anything, et cetera, like that to your customers. Okay. So I taught you how to memorize it, right? Again, where do you locate that in your memorize reports transaction, okay? Now that's not the only thing that you can do. You can go even as farther as to print these reports out. Same thing, and you can print them or you can actually save it as a PDF. So again, if you're very, eco-friendly and you want to, instead of printing all these reports out, you can save it as a PDF because PDF is, the universal way to, have a copy of a document in a small enough file that you're able to view it. That's a PDF right there. You can even go as far as sending it to email. So if you want to send this exact copy over to email, you could do that as well, right? You could do it as an Excel file or a PDF. You can even go ahead and if you want to make extra modifications, right? Because you're very limited on what you can do here, right? I can only change titles and colors for that right there, but I can't change the order of where each category goes into or each header and footer. All right, so I can export it to Excel, which again, if you guys are more experienced with Excel, you can modify it, you can add graphs, you can add all this, you can add titles, you can make it in a nice layout. Whereas the Intuit standard ones, this is the best you can get. Okay, and of course you can. Refresh the page, and again, if for any reason that you need to toggle it, whether it is this for this case right here, you can't toggle dates or anything like that. So then if you're running a report on a specific date, you can toggle it. That's an extra customization. So again, that's reports for you. Any questions?
Nope.
Okay. So I'm also going to talk very briefly about how you can create custom graphs in your actual QuickBooks. So again, there's so much you can do in regards to QuickBooks, and unfortunately, but fortunately, you are able to create graphs. However, you can't really do much to the graph, if you kind of get what I mean. So let's take a look at reports, and I'm going to show you this one because I believe the one that we're going to look at is going to be a standard report for company and financials, and we're going to look at your income versus your expenses report. So here we are, income and expenses graph. So again, I'm going to go ahead and toggle the date because I need it to be, maybe I don't need it today, maybe I want it for last or this fiscal year. So January 1st all the way to December 31st. And I'm going to go ahead and click run. So this is what's going to happen. That's what the report's going to look like in a span of January all the way to December. Now in this case, I don't need to do this. I can toggle by date, but then you would have to close out the report and redo it. So in this case, I have January, and maybe I want it only to show me all the way to March. Let's just do the quarter, right? 31st. I believe they show you just only just month. So I could do just that month too if I really wanted to. So let's do January 31st and run that report. So this is the one that's in your book, okay, where you run the report for just the month of January. And this is what it should look like, okay? Now, again, you can use your quick zoom to actually look into more details of this transaction. Okay, so if I double click, as you can see, it's zooming in to what this detail is, and there you go. It gives you even more clearer detail of what this is. Okay, so exit out of that. And of course, each graph is going to be like this. Now, here's where you cannot modify much stuff here. You can't change the color of the wheel. You can't change the color of the bars that they're using. This is just a standard random graph that they just created. You cannot customize the colors. Unfortunately, you cannot. Okay, so that's why there's room for Excel. So if you actually export this in Excel, maybe you can customize the colors to reflect, I don't know, your company colors, right? That would be cool. But again, these are standardized things because you're just running a random report and this is what it pulls up for you. Okay, and it gives you a little graph of what each color represents. So again, if you need to take a deeper view of the expenses, it will basically pop up another window that tells you, well, hey, this is your expenses for this, and what is it? It's consisting of all of this. Okay, and you can even double click and say, well, what were my expenses? Here they are. These were your expenses. Okay. So again, that's how you do QuickBooks graphs. Any questions?
No.
Okay. That one is straightforward, and that one is that one. Okay. So then let's see, we have also building custom reports, which I just showed you, right? I told you that we can build custom reports based off of other reports to create that report. You can even create an actual standalone report if you'd like to. But once again, I already showed you a book that's apart from the actual book itself. Like I gave you an example about that, and I taught you how to memorize reports. Okay? Right? And how to view those memorized reports. So let's see. Next one is going to be contributed report. So again, okay, so I'm going to show you how to be able to process multiple reports at one time. Okay, so this is really fun. So in case like you are the accountant, right, and you want to run a bunch of reports at one time instead of having to do one at a time, you're able to do that. How do we do this? Well, let's take a look at this example here, right? We're going to go to the reports menu, and then we're going to click on process multiple reports. And what we're going to do is we're going to select the reports that we want to create. And once we've done that, we just click OK, and it just fills your whole entire screen with all the reports that you need. So let's go ahead and do that example right here. So reports, right? And I'm going to go ahead and click on process multiple reports. So here's the list of all the reports that you can choose to process at one time. So again, I want to make sure that I have them all. I don't want memorized reports. I just want to do regular ones. Okay, I can select memorized reports. Okay, all reports. Okay, I can select the accountant's report. So again, I can choose all of these. Okay, or I can actually select out of all of them which ones I want. So I'm just going to go ahead and run a bunch of random ones here. Okay, and once you figure out what you're going to be processing, okay, you want to make sure that what kind of date you want to put it in. So in this case, you want it for fiscal year. Okay, from I want them to be for January for most of them. But in this case, I'm gonna leave them. I'm a little lazy to do this. So I'm gonna go ahead and click display. So what happens is you're gonna get this window, and then what happens is boom, 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 boom. Okay, boom, 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 and then another one, and then another one, and then another one. Okay, so there you go. Now, of course, if you have the capabilities of viewing everything at a with multiple windows, you can see at the top of the title will give you what this is. So this is unpaid deposit. So there's that one. Here's my payroll items list. I don't know why I ran that one. Here's my profit and loss. Okay, here's my other profit and loss and my journal entries. Okay, so again, that's how you process multiple reports in a matter of minutes. Okay, so that's why, again, it's so easy to do. Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna try to close out all of these. So easy to do. You don't really need to do much except for just click it with a click of a button. All right, and that's why most of this stuff I don't really talk about, just because, you know, it's really easy to do. Okay, so that's processing multiple reports, and I believe exporting into other things like spreadsheets. So again, QuickBooks is also very compatible to Microsoft. Okay, so that means whether it's a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet, it will do that for you. Okay? And that reaches the end of chapter. That reaches the end of chapter 6 for you. Any questions?
No, not for me.
No.
All right. So, per usual, we're going to go over the review multiple choice questions for you. All right. So, let's start here. Multiple choice. Again, you're going to select the best answer. So, number 1 we have here is, what are the 2 major types of reports?
C.
C, correct. Accounting and business management. Right. Number 2, using the customize reports button on any report to
A.
A is correct, right? To either add or delete different columns in there, as well as whether it's going to be changing the accrual basis or cash basis. Good. Again, let's take a look at what you can't do. Obviously, change the width and the column sizes. No, you can't do that. All right. It just shows you what it can show you on a regular screen. All right. Print the report on blank paper. Really, you have to customize to print that. That's a printer setting. Okay. And then memorize the report for future use. In this case, that's after you customize it. You can't customize a memorized report. Okay. In this case, you should. What I meant by that is, you can't. In order to customize a report, that isn't the same thing as memorizing a report. A few, I guess, back notes too here is that once you create a memorized report, and let's say you end up making any modifications to it, yes, you can re-memorize the report. Right? Just by clicking the memorize. Okay. And then number 3, let's see. All right, you cannot create a quick report for
D as in David.
D as in David. Okay, incorrectly posted entries. Yes, right? You cannot run a quick report on that, because how would QuickBooks know if you incorrectly posted something in there? It would just look like it was a normal post. So in this case, D is the correct answer. Okay. Number 4, okay, to create a report that lists each of your vendors and along with their addresses and telephone information, what report would you run? Is the question.
A.
A, you would run the vendor contact list. Good. Number 5, okay? In order to analyze the profitability of your company, you should B, right? Run your profit and loss report. Good. Okay. Number 6, okay? which statement is false, okay? That you may analyze your income and expenses for a given period. Dot, dot, dot.
C.
C by vendor.
vendor.
Yes, that is false. You cannot run an income and expenses based on a vendor because income is consisting of your customers. Expenses is what consists of your vendors. So you can't just do it by just strictly vendors. So in this case, the question was cannot, or which one is false. Okay. Yes, you could do it by class. I already showed you. And yes, you can do it by job and for the whole business. Yes, you can do it for the whole business, right? That's what income and expenses do, right? Number 7, which report shows monies owed to you, to your company by customers?
C.
C, letter C is the accounts payable aging report. Now in this case, wait, hold on. You said C?
Yeah.
Oh, no, because accounts payable is dealing with your vendors.
Oh, that's true.
Yes. So in this case, number 7 is
Collection report.
yes, the collections report. Now I didn't talk about this report, but it is going to be in a sense of that something you had to read. Okay, obviously a balance sheet's not going to tell you who owes you money, and a daily changes report isn't going to tell you who owes you money. Okay. Number 8. Okay. Question says here that in order to modify the headers and footers of your report,
D.
D.
Okay, C.
Okay, so D is the correct answer. You're going to click on the Customize Reports button and then click on Headers and Footers. Now, Kim, you said C. Were you going to go click on Headers and Footers button? Is there a Headers and Footers button at the top of the reports
No.
window? No.
No.
You need to go to the Customize Report first and then toggle out of those 4 choices that you have.
Okay.
All right, number 9. Okay, number 9 says processing multiple reports allow you to.
Is it B?
The correct answer is B. That's correct. Yes. It does allow you to filter your reports based on memorized reports and things like that. But again, that's something you have to read. Okay. Number 10. Okay, the profit and loss reports shows which of the following?
C.
C is correct, right? It shows your income, cost of goods sold, expenses, and other income and other expenses. So once again, that's the purpose of the profit and loss, right? You're countering against all of your revenues, against all of your expenses that you incurred to do business. And that's going to determine whether you made a profit or you made a loss. So did you earn enough money against the amount of money that you spent is the question. Okay. All right, number 11 says if the profit and loss by class reports has an unclassified column, what do you do here?
Is it D?
Some of the transactions for a period were not assigned to a class. Yes, so as I mentioned before, right? If it's unclassified, basically you're either 1, it has nothing to do with the class, or 2, it contains both of the classes. So yes, D is the correct answer because if you didn't classify or assign a class to a particular transaction, then it would show an unclassified column. Okay. Number 12, you can export reports to A, right? Microsoft Excel, right? You can also do it to Microsoft Word, but again, it wouldn't use obviously the reports wouldn't use Microsoft Word. But let's say you are doing an example, for example, like you're printing out a statement or something like that, you can process it into Word. Or mailing out a letter or email, you can process it out to Word. Okay. Number 13, okay, which is a feature of the filters tab on the modify reports window. So what can you do with feature? What kind of features can you do with the filters tab?
Is it A?
I didn't know this one. I chose D.
Okay, so we have. All right, let's look at all the answers then. So number 13 says filters allow you to select the columns on the reports so that you can analyze the information. Now, in this case, filters is not the same thing as the very first one, which is display. Display allows you to choose the headers and footers, right? It allows you to choose the columns that you want to display. So A is not what filters do. Okay. B says filters allow you to change how reports, totals, and subtotals are. In this case, no, it does not do that. Okay. Letter C.
I'm sorry, repeat your explanation of A.
A is
What did you say about headers and footers?
okay, so in this case, right, it says you could filter all this the ways to select the columns, right? That's not under filters. That's under display. The very first one, right? The one when we did our reports, I wanted to display whether we address them as Mr. or Mrs., their first name, their last name, right? That's not a filter tool. That is a display option. So in this case, it's the word filter is not correct here.
Okay.
Filters allow you to choose specific accounts, dates, names, or items that to include on a report. Yes, I told you that, right? If you have something specific for a customer, you would use filters for that. So if you want to filter out a specific type of group, you could do that, right? Names. Okay. Where D says filters allows you to modify the date range on most reports. No, that's a customization that you could just do in general. That doesn't belong into the actual customized window. That one's already standard on the outside of the report. So D is not the right answer. So the correct answer is C.
Is C?
Yes.
Is C?
Okay. Right. Last two questions here. Number 14. Okay, to modify which columns are displayed on a report, click the Customize Reports and then click on the names of the columns to be displayed on the blank. B is correct on the display tab, right? So you have display tab, filters, headers and footers, and fonts and sizes. Okay. So in this case, right, to display certain columns, it'd be under the display tab. Okay. Number 15, okay, the fit report into one page wide feature does which of the following?
A?
Okay, let's see. Let's take a look. A fits the report into a single page for each column. I mean, that's a waste of a lot of paper. If you have 15 columns on your report and you're going to fit one page per column, I don't know how that's going to benefit you.
Should we see?
The answer is C, where it's going to reduce the font size so then the whole entire report can fit on one page. Yes. Okay. So C is the correct answer. All right. And that is it for chapter 6. Any extra questions?